Hey everyone, this is Mike with 4 and 6 Music, here to teach you why music works, not just how to play it. So what I'd like to do in today's lesson is I'd like to go over just part of Jumping at the Woodside. I have it on the stand over here. It's a very classic tune by Count Basie and his orchestra. And I wanted to go over this because it has some sight reading in the song, which I think is very beneficial, and we're going to touch upon that, but there are definitely going to be more lessons in the future in which I go over sight reading in a little bit more detail. This is just a little basic overview. And in the very beginning of the song, we do see a part with no chords, but with notes instead. So I'm going to put that over there, right, where we have the space in the screen. And you guys can see that part, it's pretty much like a bass part, and you're pretty much doubling up with the bass. It's playing basically a walking bass line. And we're starting on our B flat. So the important thing when you're reading music is to look at the key signature beforehand, and then to look at the time signature after that. So the time signature over here just says C, which means common time, also known as 4/4, meaning 4 beats per measure. And when we see this, we have B flat, D, E flat, E, then F, E flat, D, C. And we're constantly cycling through that. C, a very classic sounding walking bass line. A lot of times when it comes to jazz, though, you will see a lot of guitarists not using open strings for jazz. I think pretty much one of the players who kind of went against the grain with that was Pat Metheny, or is Pat Metheny, because he's still alive, kicking and playing. But he really was a jazz guitarist, I'd say, that not only went against the grain as far as not utilizing open strings, but he would also use open chords in his arrangements and in his songs as well. So there are guitarists who will use open strings, but there are a lot who won't. So if I see this and I'm trying not to use open strings, I'm not going to play that over here. Instead, I'm going to switch positions to over here. So we're going to be in 5th position pretty much. Just like that. So it's going to sound a little bit different compared to over here. That's going to be the really important thing when you're reading music, is knowing where to play it as far as on the neck, on the fretboard. I think that for me was the most difficult part about getting into sight reading on the guitar, was just figuring out where to play these notes. And what I would do, let's say I was learning this song and I had difficulty remembering where to place my fingers, I would just write a 5. I would most likely use a Roman numeral. If it's a little bit past, if it's like in the higher range, like the 10th position, 12th position, I would probably just write the number 10 or 12 above. But I would write that in over there just to remind myself that I have to bring my fingers to the 5th position to play this rather than open. And whenever you're reading music and prepping music, I would suggest writing notes on the music itself. That's super important. And that's a really big difference between a professional and a novice, is that the professional's oftentimes going to write notes down in their music. The novice is not going to do that. And then when it comes time to playing, they're going to forget some of these things. Because again, when you're playing in the moment, there are certain things that you practice that you may forget. So writing those notes down in your sheet music is super beneficial, and it's something, like I said, that separates the professionals from the novices when it comes to sight reading. So we have this walking bass line that is occurring on the first page, and then once we get to measure 35, we start to see these chords, and again, we have them written out in the treble clef, and all these are pretty much four notes for every single chord. But keep in mind, this is a Count Basie song, and with Count Basie, we had Freddie Green comping on the guitar for a lot of Count Basie arrangements. And Freddie Green's style of playing guitar is not this, where he's playing all the way up on these higher strings. Most of what he's playing is down on some of these lower strings, because again, for him, he was keeping time and more concerned with keeping the rhythm rather than the harmony. The harmony, for the most part, was taken care of by Count Basie on the piano and the other instruments as well. So for this part, I would not even play what's written down over here. Of course, it's a good idea to be able to read this and to know this, but this is also what separates the novice from the professionals, that a novice is going to read exactly what they see on the paper, and they're going to take that for pretty much at face value for what it is. But the professional is going to understand who wrote this song, who played on this song, and the style of playing that they had, because, again, Freddie Green would not be playing chords like this. Like we see that first chord, the B flat 6. It's built up with the G, D, B flat, F. Just like that. And again, when you're reading chords, you're reading all the tones, all the notes. And I would start from either the top or the bottom note. Most of the time, for me, I'm going to start at the top note, because that's also going to help me determine what position I'm playing in. So for this, yeah, we can play over here, third position. All these notes are going to be on the same fret, on our third fret. That's our B flat 6. But again, Freddie Green is not playing. And that's the rhythm that we have over there. Instead, he would probably be playing the B flat 6 more like this. Again, just keeping that steady beat, that steady tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short. And if you guys are not familiar with Freddie Green, I do have a video over here. I will put the link, and that video goes over the Freddie Green comping style, which if you're playing guitar in a big band, I highly recommend going and checking that out if you are not familiar with that, because that's going to help you quite a bit when it comes to comping and playing rhythm guitar in a big band. So anyway, I see this and I think, well, this is not correct. So I would not even read and play exactly what's written here. I would take the chord symbol. Oh, there we go. I would take the chord symbol and I would just follow those chord symbols. So we have B flat. And then we see this C sharp diminished 7. And then going back to the B flat. So honestly, when it comes to that, I just think that that's an extra thing that the rhythm guitar does not even need to take care of. I would just play the B flat 6 for what, the 4 measures pretty much that we have over there. I would just play the B flat 6 for the 4 measures. I wouldn't even play that C sharp diminished because it's going by so fast. And again, when you're playing the Freddie Green style, you have that long, short, and on the downbeat, on beats 1 and 3, you're really favoring the lower strings or the lowest string, and then for 2 and 4, on 2 and 4, you're going to be favoring the higher strings, but they're going to be shortened, like that, because again, rhythm guitar in the Freddie Green style is not so much concerned about the overall harmony. It's more so concerned about the rhythm and driving the rhythm section and the whole band forward along with the bass and the drums. So that's what I would do if I were reading this chart. Yes, I would follow the very beginning with that walking bass line and play along with the bass. But then after that, once we get to measure 35, I would just comp in the Freddie Green style rather than... Because that part is what the wind section is taken care of, such as the saxophones, I think the saxophones and the trumpets, trombones. Can't remember off the top of my head which section accents that, but they're going to be taking care of that. Guitar does not need to take care of that. Guitar just needs to worry about the rhythm. So that's something that's really important. Don't take the arrangements that you're reading for jazz band, don't take that literally all the time, because a lot of times these people who arrange the pieces are not guitar players. And because they're not guitar players, they don't understand how the guitar is working in the song, or they may not be familiar with the song itself, or familiar with the guitarist who's playing on that song. So, when I see this, I think, unfortunately, the arranger who arranged this is not familiar with the Freddie Green comping style, or they perhaps wanted it to be a little bit different, but if I'm playing a Count Basie song, I'm going to be playing it in the Freddie Green style. I am not going to be using these chords to accent the harmony. I'm going to be playing that rhythm guitar that Freddie Green was so famous for. So don't be afraid to change things up on the chart. And after all, it's jazz. It's not classical where you're going to get reamed out for playing a different note. You're going to be expected to play things a little bit differently. And especially if you're a beginner and you're not sure what to do and you see a whole bunch of chords, like I said in previous videos, don't even worry about that. Simplify it. You don't have to play everything verbatim, right? And if you notice, this is a pretty long chart. It's 4 pages, and I have the 4th page right over here. And what I like to do, this is a little trick for you guys. I'll put my guitar down for this. Okay. What I like to do for this, for these 4 pages, anything that's like 4 pages or more, I like to tape them like this. So I basically put Scotch tape right over here, right? And that way I can have the whole chart out like this, which is a little bit messy, but what I like to do just to keep it a little bit cleaner is I like to do this so all 3 pages are here. And this is going to be very helpful because, again, when you're performing, you don't really know what's going to happen. You have to expect that something unexpected is going to happen, like your music is going to fall off the stand. And if it does, well then it's going to be very easy for something like this first page that's kind of hanging off. It's going to be very easy for that to fall off, and then you're out of page, right? So rather than having all the pages separate, and especially if you're transporting the sheet music, it's going to be all together, so you're not going to have to sift through all your papers to try to find the 3rd page, for example, or the 4th page. Everything's going to be together, taped up, nice and clean, neat, and then once you get to the end, or close to the end of the 3rd page, just switch it over like that. And that's something you also have to get used to as well, is the page turning as you're playing, right? That's definitely a skill to be had. And that's something that you should definitely work on when you're playing in a band and reading music, is the turning of the page, right? And you'll have to do that a lot of times in the middle of the song, which we see over here at the very end. We're playing those chords and we're just comping that B flat 6 chord, and I would just, in the measure beforehand, just probably hold out that chord, switch, and then go to the next chord. And that's how I would approach that if I were turning the page in the middle of the part that I'm playing. And again, just to reiterate this, with this chart there comes a chord cheat sheet for guitarists who may not be familiar with these chords, or maybe who are not able to read the music. And again, when you see these, all these chords are pretty much, not all of them, but most of them are going to be played on the first 4 strings. But that's not really the Freddie Green style. Freddie Green favored the lower strings, and he wouldn't really be playing, or his playing is not really so much concerned with the harmony of the piece as much as it is the rhythm. And when you see these chords are more so concerned with the harmony than the rhythm, especially with the way that they're written out in, like, let's say, that beginning part that we see. And we do see comping in the Freddie Green style just on all 4 beats with those chords, but let's say I do that with the B flat 6 chord that they gave. Different than so even the comping is not going to be correct if you're using these chords. Not correct as in, following the Freddie Green template for rhythm guitar playing. So don't be afraid to change things. Most of these arrangers don't know what they're doing when it comes to guitar. And I can't tell you how many times I've had to change things. Either notes written in impossible ways to be played on the guitar, chords that are, I mean, I've seen more chords written out with more than 6 notes. It's crazy what you'll see when you read a lot of charts. Again, these people who are arranging these charts, for the most part, are not familiar with guitar, and you can tell that they're not familiar with guitar with some of the arrangements that you'll see, such as this one. Not to take away from the work that he did, it's just that when it comes to the guitar part, he didn't really do the song justice because he didn't follow the Freddie Green template, which, again, if you know Count Basie and you're into his music, I don't know how you would not know the name Freddie Green and not know that particular style of rhythm guitar playing, because that is a very, very infamous style of guitar playing that is often talked about, not just within the guitar community, but also within the jazz community as well. And you see a lot of people referencing Freddie Green who don't even know jazz. They just know that style of comping. And again, it's attributed to the great Freddie Green. So, anyway, don't be afraid to change things. And when it comes to reading, think about where you want to place that on the guitar, because again, the position's super important, and the more that you do it, the more you'll get used to just picking up on which position will be best at a much quicker rate, because that's oftentimes what's going to take you a little bit longer, is just trying to decide where to play that on the guitar. All right, I hope that lesson worked for you guys and that you got something out of it. If you'd like to book a one-on-one lesson with me, you can fill out the booking form in the description box below, and I'll get back to you within 24 hours. So until the next one, you guys have a great day. Rock and roll.